want to address an issue that has, even though it's misleading, that has become very ubiquitous on the internet, both video, commentaries, and writing. It's about the flooding that has visited Nigeria for quite some time. In the past few weeks, as a matter of fact, in the areas along the River Benue, Kogi State, a lot of buildings, houses, by flooding, resulting in the fact that a lot of people died along the River Benue and even places in Anambra State. In the beginning, people were talking about what can we do to make sure this doesn't happen again. All of a sudden, this discussion has now morphed into the fact that, oh, this happened because Cameroon opened up their dam, a dam they have in Cameroon that's called, I think, Lagdo Dam. The waters of their dam actually overwhelmed the Benue River and brought all the buildings under flooding. And so, well, let me just say, there's some truth in the fact that waters of the dam in Cameroon may have contributed to the flooding. But if it did, it would have been, my guess would be about just 5% of the flooding. Because the way dams are built is they're built in such a way that if they hold back water and then allow outflow that is a lot smaller than what came into the dam. When you use a dam like this, you call it using a dam for flood control. Assume that's what the Lagdo Dam in Cameroon is supposed to do, flood control. But dams are designed in such a way that if the waters of the dam start rising within the dam, to avoid structural failure of the dam, because if you have a certain level of water in a dam, it puts a lot of pressure on the walls of the dam and could cause the dam to collapse. And if it does, it becomes what we call dam breach, which could cause a lot of deaths or so. But dams are built in such a way that if the waters start rising, there is an overflow through the spillway. Water is let out automatically through the spillway, and it doesn't empty all the waters in the dam, just enough to bring down the level of the water in the dam. That's what I think happened. People are saying that in 1982, Cameroon finished the construction or completed the construction of the Lagdo Dam and entered into a memorandum of understanding with Nigeria for Nigeria to build their own dam along River Benue. And some say that dam started and was never completed. So they're saying that Cameroon advertently just opened up their dam, and the water from the dam overwhelmed the buildings along the River Benue, like in Kogi State. Well, why it would have been a welcome development if Nigeria had built a dam along the River Benue, because it would control the water that flows. The actual reason why we had flooding was because we had a kind of rainfall that has not fallen in the past 500 years. And we're going to continue to have this kind of rainfall as long as climate change continues. And there is no indication that it's going to stop. You're going to be seeing this type of intense and voluminous rainfall. And what Nigeria should have been saying, it's not to keep pointing their finger back at Cameroon, saying they released water, they didn't tell them, and so on. What Nigeria should have done when this happened, I think 2012, was to go back to the drawing board, make arrangements to complete the construction of the dam, Nigeria's version of the Lagdo Dam in Nigeria, and also start putting in infrastructure like flood walls and levees along the Benue River in susceptible places. If they had done that, what we're seeing would not have happened, because that would mean that water flowing along the River Benue will be contained by dams or a series of check dams and so on, and flood walls and so on and so forth. They didn't do that. If the rains come again, there is a tendency that it's going to happen, and people will continue to die. Sorry that happens. So let me tell you, when you help to amplify, you, the reader, when you help, or you, the Nigerian, when you help to amplify the fact that the reason why there was flooding was because Cameroon opened their own dam, you are giving them reason to not do what they're supposed to do. You're giving them reason to keep pointing back at Cameroon. Cameroon was not responsible. If they, what I'm trying to say is the fact that we don't have the adequate infrastructure along River Benue was one of the reasons. The second reason, rainfall has increased. Look at us. It's October and it's still raining in Nigeria. When I was growing up, it used to be like that rainfall will come back in April, then May, June, July, August. You have what we used to call August break. The rainfall will taper out and then pick back up in September and then taper up completely as you get to December. No more rainfall until the next year. Things have changed because of climate change. Again, when I was growing up, we didn't have a lot of buildings and roadways and concrete aprons springing up everywhere. But right now it's happening. Even along the banks of the River Benue, you have construction, buildings, concrete aprons, roads, and so on. When you build things like that, you make the ground impervious to infiltration of rainwater. So if you construct a concrete apron, when it rains, that rain will not have anywhere to infiltrate. It will start looking for where to flow out of. So when it does that, it will water from all other areas where you have buildings and construction and so on. We pull together and become a flowing force. That's part of what is causing this problem. So the person working in the permit office that gives people the permit to build anywhere haphazardly without considering where rainwater will go when it flows is also liable and culpable. The government should be able to go in and say, you cannot build here, you cannot build here, you cannot build here. This should be open grass so that if it rains, that water will infiltrate immediately into the ground and go off and so on. So I've been seeing all this misinformation everywhere. Oh, it's the Cameroon Dam that caused it. No, it was not. Cameroon Dam just made a bad situation worse. What happened was we're having climate change and a lot of rain is falling. We have imperviousness everywhere. Water does not have a place to infiltrate into the ground, so it pulls together and becomes deadly. The third thing is that we don't have dams, check dams, we don't have flood walls and levees along the River Benue. So when next somebody says, oh, Cameroon, tell them, shh. Alfred said, Cameroon Dam may have contributed, but less than 5%. I know what I'm talking about because this is part of what I do. One more time, this is Alfred, Obiora, Uzokwe.